Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rick and I'm here with Blue Paper. Just kidding, it's my September review video. I watched a lot of stuff in September, 21 movies to get into, so I'm not going to talk too much in the beginning. I'm going to try to keep my reviews very brief. Physically, I only have like 6 movies to show you guys. I did a lot of watching in theaters. I did a lot of watching via DVD.com with my trial that I did. The other thing I want to mention is, what did I want to mention to you guys? Harry Potter. I watched all the Harry Potter films, as I mentioned in my previous video. Those are not in this video. I'm doing a whole separate review video, basically about my experience as a first-time Harry Potter watcher and through the eyes of somebody who doesn't know jack squat about Harry Potter. So that'll be coming in the next week or so. Be sure to check it out. Time to get into reviews, guys. And the first title I watched this month, I actually have a physical copy. It's something I got while hunting, while visiting Bridget's parents. And it is called City Heat. This starring Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds. Did not know anything about it. I guess this movie came out in '84, if I'm not mistaken. But, I mean, Clint Eastwood, Burt Reynolds, it sounded interesting. It took place in 1933. These two had awesome chemistry together in this film. And were very funny, played well off of each other. However, the problem is they're not in this movie together enough to warrant a 97-minute runtime. I wish these characters were in the movie together the whole time. I would probably have this movie make my shelf. Spoiler alert, it is not going on the shelf. The story felt very convoluted too. Like, there were bad guys, and then there was another group of bad guys, and you weren't sure which group was the actual bad guy and who the goons in the film were working for. The opening scene of this movie takes place in a diner. It's just Clint Eastwood sitting there, almost Dirty Harry-esque, drinking a cup of coffee. Burt Reynolds shows up, and then 2 goons show up and fight with Burt Reynolds. And it's a very funny scene. The fight is played off for comedic effects. And then somebody hits Clint Eastwood while he's drinking his coffee and he spills it. And then Clint Eastwood throws the guy through a window and basically causes chaos. And the movie has glimmers of like a really funny buddy cop movie. You find out they used to be partners, and now Burt Reynolds is a private detective and Clint Eastwood is still a police lieutenant. But it's very funny in parts when they're on screen together, but when they're not, the movie really kind of falls flat for me. I give this one a 1.5, guys. Like I said, it's not awful, just not something I'd revisit, and it's not going to be making my shelf. But I think I bought this for $3 at a pawn shop. So worst comes to worst, I'll get $3 back from Pam if there's not a lot of resale value there. If any of you guys are interested in this, let me know, and maybe it's still available and I can hook you guys up. The next thing I saw, there's going to be a what? Yeah, it's going to be a while before I have to hold another Blu-ray. So the next thing I watched was the Peanut Butter Falcon. We saw this using Regal Unlimited. The Peanut Butter Falcon was awesome. I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and watch it again. Basically, it's a movie about this kid, Zach, who I believe he has Down syndrome, I believe. And he wants to escape the home he lives in. It's basically like an old person's home. And he keeps trying to come up with like ways to escape, and he wants to be a professional wrestler. And he gets away with escaping. His living mate is Bruce Dern, and he escapes. Dakota Johnson plays the girl who's like in charge of the home, and she has a friendship with Zach. But Zach meets up with Shia LaBeouf, who's kind of a troubled guy. He's on the run, and he was excellent in this movie. Shia LaBeouf was so good. It sparked a debate recently on a Cinema Sickness live stream about Shia LaBeouf and how good he is. I personally am incredibly excited for Honey Boy in November, which is, it seems like it's Shia LaBeouf's childhood and life growing up and being in the Transformers movies. It looks very intriguing. If you guys haven't seen a trailer for it, do yourselves a favor, check out the trailer. The kid who played Zach, his name was Zach Gottsagen, and he was a delight in the movie. He was really good. Him and Shia had great chemistry on screen together. Their characters really had a brother bond. Made the film easy to watch, enjoyable. It was just they're on a road adventure and seeing what would happen next. The movie's heartfelt, heartwarming. As a wrestling fan, him wanting to be a professional wrestler and establishing a character with Shia LaBeouf made me personally enjoy it even more. There's a couple cameos from professional wrestlers in the film that I won't spoil, but they're pretty famous names, especially if you're familiar with WWE in the 80s and 90s. And the last thing I'll say about the movie is the cinematography of the film was awesome. It was just beautiful to look at. I believe it was supposed to take place in Louisiana, down south, just the bayou and everything. It looked phenomenal. I give the movie a 4 out of 5. Guys, check it out. It's not playing in movies anymore, but I believe it's coming out on Blu-ray in November. I will be grabbing it. Don't know if it's a week one purchase, but it's definitely worth buying in my opinion. Or hitting Redbox or DVD.com if you remember, and subscribing and getting it. Peanut Butter Falcon was great. The next movie, Jacob, you might want to just skip a minute ahead. The next movie I saw was It Chapter 2. I could read verbatim what I have here, but the first line is, I really think that they dropped the ball with this movie. The runtime killed this movie. Why did it need to be 2 hours and 45 minutes? This movie felt so incredibly long. There was a part when I saw this with Regal Unlimited. There was a part of the movie where I never check my phone or try to check my phone at the movies. And I was like, man, I really need to go to the bathroom, but I think it's wrapping up. It's almost done. And I knew in my head the movie would get done at 9:30. And I look at my phone in my pocket and it's 8:25. And I was like, wow, I'm getting up to go to the bathroom since there's another hour of this movie. They could have easily cut 40 minutes of this movie and it wouldn't have hurt the overall film. I'm not saying the movie's awful. I'm not saying that at all. But when you compare this movie to It Chapter 1 or It, two totally different movies. It was a 4-star, probably 4.5-star movie out of 5. This wasn't on the same level. The jump scares in this movie felt very cheap. It was one of the things I praised about the first movie is the scares were earned in the first movie. This one, they were cheap. They were doing stuff that were typical horror cliches. The CGI in this film is atrocious. Richie looks like a bug-eyed character because they had to CGI young Richie, and his glasses are big and his eyes look like Alita Battle Angel's eyes. And then the one kid that's was he in Stranger Things? Or is he Stranger Things? Not Richie, but one of the other characters. They made him just, the CGI was brutal in the movie. I don't have much good to say. Bill Hader in the movie was awesome. He was the highlight of the film for me. I think he was the true standout. I think they did a good job casting the older versions of the characters, but I just feel like getting there and the conclusion of the story, it was hard to sit through. Definitely not something I'm excited about buying or rewatching when it comes out on 4K Blu-ray. I will say there were a few legit scary slash great scenes, such as the makeup scene and the Paul Bunyan scene, and I'll leave those at that. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you. I just felt like the first movie was more entertaining, scarier, a better time. The 2+ hour runtime of the first movie didn't drag, where this one, it dragged a lot. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. You know, Jacob loved the movie. That's why I told him to skip forward. I just personally, I can't see it. I didn't think it was all that good, especially compared to the first film. The next thing we watched was 5 Feet Apart, and that was a Blu-ray we got from DVD.com. The movie felt very similar to The Fault in Our Stars. It's basically about a girl who has CF, cystic fibrosis, and she basically lives at a hospital to get treatments. She can't go within 6 feet of somebody else with cystic fibrosis. And she's a bit of an OCD person. She has her thing, her life kind of like measured out. She makes lists to keep herself occupied. She does a YouTube vlog about living with cystic fibrosis as a teenager. And she meets a boy and they fall in love. And what else do I have here? Yeah, so the infections can cross easily. Haley Lou Richardson, who I believe was in Split, plays the main actress in the movie. And she was great in the film. Her name was Stella. The boy was one of the kids from Zack and Cody. I don't have his name, but he's one of the Jacob, I don't know. Jacob Dylan from the Wallflowers? No, but he was on Zack and Cody. However, there are a lot of issues with how convenient and probable a lot of these things in the movie are. Some of the romantic gestures are so far-fetched for a movie. And I know it's a movie, you gotta, you know, have some kind of disbelief. But the movie was good, it was sad, it was romantic. It was what I wanted it to be. It's not something I need to go out and buy, but it was definitely entertaining, well worth a rent. I gave it a 3 out of 5. The next thing was actually a 4K I borrowed from Cinema Sickness, Dave, and that is Mayhem. I wanted to see Mayhem because the lead actress from Ready or Not, Samara Weaving, was in Mayhem. I was looking at what other stuff she was in. It also had Stephen Yen in it from The Walking Dead. This movie had a very like Belko experiment feel to it, very strongly, combined with like a zombie movie in a way, because there's this disease and people basically snap and they have to like survive in this building for a certain amount of time. So the antidote, they put medicine in the vents to reverse the disease, if you will. It took a little long to get going, but it was really fun. It's something I'm not really bummed I didn't buy. I believe that it was a Dollar Tree DVD this past cycle, so you could have bought it on DVD for $1. That would have been cool. The 4K didn't really add anything to it. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I probably liked it a little more than Belko Experiment, which I need to revisit. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. The next thing was Brittany Runs a Marathon. We saw that using Regal Unlimited. Jillian Bell was awesome in this movie. She crushed it as a lead actress in her own film. It was a very heartwarming, funny movie. Basically, Jillian Bell's character goes to a doctor's office. The doctor tells her she needs to lose like 50 pounds. She decides she's going to join a gym. However, when she goes to join the gym, it's like $200 a month. And she lives in New York, so she decides she just starts running. And she meets a few other people, and they start running basically in a group. And it's really just a fun, positive movie. It's based on a true story. It's not for everybody. It's very chick flicky. But I hope the movie is successful and Jillian Bell's in more stuff. I first saw Jillian Bell when she was on Workaholics, which I absolutely love. And Jillian Bell was super funny in it. And she's had supporting roles in movies like Office Christmas Party. But her in the lead role was really good. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely not the biggest movie. It wasn't in a lot of theaters, but check it out when it comes to home video. If it comes to home video, because I've found that Amazon Studios is not putting their stuff out on physical media. Like Late Night is available on Amazon Prime, but has not gotten a physical release. I have a feeling this is going to be the same way. The next thing we watched is The Addams Family. We watched that, RJ, Bridget, and I. RJ had never seen it. It had been a very long time since I had seen it. Same with Bridget. This was a blast to sit down and revisit. RJ really liked it. What else do I have here? It holds up. It was fun to watch. Probably should have saved it for October, but we didn't. The casting in the film is great. Christina Ricci is so good in this movie as Wednesday. She's the real highlight in this for me. And I really enjoyed it. Christopher Lloyd, Raul Julia, Angelica Houston. Just a fun time. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then because we watched that on a Friday, I had credit on Vudu. So on Saturday we rented Addams Family Values. And I don't enjoy the second film as much as the first one. I think that Addams Family is a far superior movie. I do like the kids, Wednesday and Pugsley, being at summer camp. Not a huge fan of Joan Cusack's character in the movie. I find her a bit annoying. And RJ really liked the first movie. He enjoyed the second one as well. But I just personally don't think the second one's nearly as good as the first. I give it a 3 out of 5. The next thing was Stan and Ollie, which was a Blu-ray from DVD.com. And this is my surprise of the month, guys. If you have not seen Stan and Ollie, do yourselves a favor, check it out. It's about Laurel and Hardy. Stars Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly. The movie was amazing. And the fact that John C. Reilly was in this and Holmes and Watson about a month apart, box office release. It's a shame that this movie did not get more publicity, and all the trash that was Holmes and Watson got so much publicity. John C. Reilly knocked it out of the park. It was a blast learning about Laurel and Hardy and the history of the duo, and kind of like this last tour before, basically towards the very end of their career, and just the stage show, and it was so funny. It was so good. It was an amazing story. You got to see them in their younger days and what they became. It was great. I give it a 4 out of 5. Definitely something I'd like to add to my collection when I come across it for a great price. Stan and Ollie is definitely worth checking out, as opposed to the next thing that we got from DVD.com. That was the Blu-ray of Welcome to Marwen, a movie I was really excited about seeing in the box office. I don't know why I said in the box office, in the theaters, and just couldn't get around to it. The movie was very intriguing, but just fell flat. I actually fell asleep multiple times in the movie and had to rewatch the parts I missed the next day. There was too much focus on the action figures in the film, or the dolls, and not enough on the real characters, which I thought should have been the highlight, and then had the action figures be like the subset of the movie. The movie just went by at a snail's pace. It meandered. The highlight for me was a time machine reference, as the movie was directed by Robert Zemeckis. So he directed a very famous and popular time travel movie, so I really enjoyed it. There was some humor in it that was pretty good. However, the movie just struggled to keep me interested and invested, and it fell flat for me. I'm glad I did not buy it. There was a point in time where I almost blind bought it. So glad I didn't, because it would have went to Pam's or been listed on eBay right away after watching it. I give it a 1.5 out of 5. Welcome to Marwen. It's a pass for me, guys. Next thing was Hustlers. Saw that using Regal Unlimited. Very entertaining. Not the greatest movie ever. A lot of people were saying like one of the year's best, and no, it was not. It's funny. The movie, like, yes, it's about a group of strippers in a strip club, and they promoted Lizzo and Cardi B. They're not in the movie very often. The movie is basically Jennifer Lopez and Constance Wu, and they're the primary focus. There's definitely eye candy in the film. Jennifer Lopez especially shows off the butt that is so popular in pop culture. The movie's entertaining and fast-paced. I enjoyed the first half of the movie much more than the second half. The middle of the movie gets incredibly repetitive. They basically do the same thing over and over and over, and you're waiting for, like, when's this going to turn bad? Like, when is this not going to be just repetition, repetition, repetition? And then finally the third act hits and it concludes. But it's good. It's not bad. It's not great. It's 3 out of 5 for me. Definitely check it out when it comes out on Blu-ray. It's probably still playing in some theaters. The next thing was cool to watch because I watched it with RJ and Bridget. So this was like one of RJ's first real quote-unquote scary films. And it was A Quiet Place on Blu-ray. This is the first time rewatching it for me since I saw it in the movies. And I think it held up very well on a rewatch. Probably not as suspenseful on a rewatch personally, but it's so well done and well directed. The sound editing and mixing in the film's outstanding. Emily Blunt's performance in this movie is great, along with Millicent Simmons, who plays her daughter, who's deaf in real life, if you guys did not know. So I'm excited about next year's sequel. I'm curious to see where they're going to go in the Quiet Place universe, if you will. RJ thought it was okay. The monsters were very similar to Demogorgons on Stranger Things, which he's been watching, so it didn't scare him or creep him out. So I give it a 4 out of 5. I still really liked it. It went down a little bit on a rewatch. I think I had a 4.5 initially. But still a great movie. A Quiet Place. Really cool steelbook too, by the way. But yeah. Then the next thing we saw, we did not watch this Blu-ray, but I'm going to hold it up for reference. We went and saw Peter Pan on the big screen. They were doing a special, like a Sunday morning showing of it for $6 at our local theater. So we went, me, RJ, Bridget, and my little sister Sarah saw this. It was like breakfast and a flick, so you could order breakfast while watching the movie at Movie Tavern. It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched Peter Pan, since like RJ was a kid, and even then, or not even a kid, like a toddler. Even then, I wouldn't fully pay attention to it. I would be doing, chores around the house or whatnot. But, this movie holds up. It's a nice, tight 75 minutes. However, there's a lot of stuff that's very cringeworthy in this day and age. PC culture. The Native American scene in the film is pretty tough to watch. And Tinkerbell is really a jealous, like, little brat trying to kill Wendy the entire movie. But outside of that, it was great to see on the big screen. The music's excellent. The story's good. Like I said, it was a fun time at the movies. So Peter Pan, it's classic. 4 out of 5 for me. The next thing we watched, first time for RJ. I'm new to the train on this movie. I did not see it as a kid. I saw it in my later years. But it is really funny. The kids in this movie really highlight it. And that is Uncle Buck. Gabby Hoffman and Macaulay Culkin are great in this film. Excuse me. I was cracking up multiple times when we watched this out loud. John Candy is so good in this movie. The movie's a fun time. It's entertaining. It's just great. RJ really liked it. Bridget and I enjoyed the movie pretty thoroughly. I give it a 4 out of 5. Uncle Buck is a great movie if you haven't seen it. The next thing we watched was on Netflix, and it was Between Two Ferns, the movie. So I love Between Two Ferns, the Funny or Die net series. However, this movie felt unnecessary. I wish they made a 10-episode season of Between Two Ferns and put it on Netflix. The stuff in the movie that is not them shooting Between Two Ferns felt unnecessary. It was not funny. It fell flat. The actual Between Two Ferns stuff, hilarious, but all the stuff between just felt forced. I'm glad it was only 80 minutes, so it didn't like kill it, but I just wish it was a 10 to 13 episode season of Between Two Ferns with a bonus episode of the outtakes, because the outtakes at the end of the movie during the end credits are amazing. The movie was funny, don't get me wrong. I just wish it was Between Two Ferns and not the other stuff. I give it a 3 out of 5 because the Between Two Ferns stuff had me laughing out loud. But the other stuff is just tough to get through. The next thing, Little. I got this from DVD.com on Blu-ray. I put the pure definition of less than mediocre. The movie made me snicker a couple times. The plot can be picked apart super easy. It wasn't very good. I give it a 1.5. I'm still thinking that's probably too high. I'd probably be at a 1 out of 5 now that I think about it more. I don't have much to say. Little, avoid it. I'm so glad I didn't pay to rent it. It was part of a free trial. The next thing I got, Dragged Across Concrete. And this was the last Blu-ray I got from DVD.com with my trial. So I personally really enjoyed Brawl in Cell Block 99, which was also directed by S. Craig Zahler. I've yet to see Bone Tomahawk, which was also written and directed by him. This movie had a 2-hour and 40-minute runtime, and there were numerous scenes that felt to meander in the story, but it also helped feel like the movie was happening in real time. And a lot of the scenes that were played out for length paid off for me. However, there were other scenes like them sitting in a car while he ate a sandwich. It was just like, why? Like, why aren't we editing this out of the movie? But if you've seen Brawl in Cell Block 99, there were scenes in that movie that, why is this in the film? Like, why aren't we cutting this? And I think it's S. Craig Zahler's vision. I don't agree with it. The violence is incredibly well done in the movie. The performances were really good in the movie. The shootout scenes being in real time really felt like it added to the quality of the movie. But there was just other parts that felt useless in the film. I give it a 3 out of 5. It's not something I'm going to buy. I'm glad I did not buy it because I would never rewatch it, in my opinion. Which is the case with a lot of stuff, but there's also a lot of stuff that I would rewatch. So I give it a 3 out of 5. Check it out if you haven't. It might be one of your favorites. I know a lot of people really loved it. For me, it was good. It wasn't great. The next thing I got was from the library, and I watched it on DVD. It's Love Gilda. No, it's not. It's Love Gilda. It's a documentary about Gilda Radner's life in her own words. It was pretty cool to see like her SNL career up until when she got sick and ended up passing away. There's not much to say about it. It's a documentary about Gilda Radner's life. It was well done. It had a different style. It was 85 minutes, so it just felt really properly paced. And I give it a 3 out of 5. We got 3 more left, guys. This video has been going on for like 30 minutes, so I'm trying to end it soon. The next thing I saw was Rambo Last Blood, Regal Unlimited. Just went by myself after work one day. This is how action movies should be. It was 80 minutes. It was entertaining. It gets you to hate the bad guys in the first half of the movie, and then it turns into Rambo meets Home Alone in the second half. It is bloody. It is violent. It is unapologetic. It's not going to win any Oscars, but it was a fun time. If you like action movies that are violent and have grit to them, check out Rambo Last Blood. Not nearly as good as the first movie. I liked it. I thought it was really good. It is, when I say Rambo meets Home Alone, I am describing the movie to a T. You hate the bad guys in the first 50 minutes of this movie, and in the last 20 minutes, they pay. I give it a 3 out of 5. check out Rambo Last Blood. The next thing I watched is Hot Trash of the Month, guys. I did not forget. This was a Dollar Tree title that I grabbed. And so I'm going to show you guys how good this movie was. I went to log it in on Letterboxd, and apparently I'd seen it before, and I didn't like it the first time, and I guess I erased it from my memory. All Cheerleaders Die. Got this on DVD. Bridget and I were both intrigued from a trailer on the Mayhem 4K. Watch this. This is horrible. It was like they were trying to mix I Know What You Did Last Summer and The Craft and Bring It On, and it falls flat. It is not entertaining. It is weird. Some of the characters are just plain despicable, and they don't even get their, like, they should have been killed horrifically in this film to make it at least like, yeah, that guy got his. Nope. It was just mediocrity. A 1 out of 5. I think I'm being very kind, but I sat through it and didn't check my phone at 89 minutes, so it didn't get a half star. It got 1 star. It's not making my shelf. It is going to Pam's. That is it. The last thing I watched was a Blu-ray from the library, a movie I had talked about recently. Haven't been able to buy it yet, so I got it from the library, and it's Men, Women, and Children. Do yourselves a favor. Go search this movie out. Go get it. DVD, Blu-ray, streaming. Buy it. Rent it. It is one of the most underrated movies of this decade. It is a very interesting look at today's America and social media and the internet and technology and how people cope with issues. This could be one of my favorite Adam Sandler serious role dramas. Also, Ansel Elgort is in it from Baby Driver. He is tremendous in the movie. And also, Caitlin Dever from Booksmart is in the movie. I didn't even realize that until I was watching it. Also, Timothy Chalamet is in the movie. Very small role. Caitlin Dever had a semi-co-role. I watched this and her initially very close to each other, and it really made me like unplug for a while, like not go on the internet and just kind of separate from my phone. I really do want to revisit her, but it was just a really well done movie. It is heavy at times. It has some humor if you have a sixth sense of humor at times. I give it a 4 out of 5. I really think people should search it out. It's called Men, Women, and Children. This video is 33 minutes, so I'm going to end it. That's it, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the description box down below, where you can find links to my eBay, Facebook, Instagram, email, P.O. Box, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch. Be sure to check all that out. Be sure to give this video a like. Be sure to comment. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure. Until next time, as always, guys, thank you for watching. Who's down to movie? I need some water.